TNA. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, a promotion that has gone through a lot of trial and tribulation in its 20+ year history. Before there was an AEW, TNA was the alternative #2 promotion that was behind WWE. In the mid to late 2000s, it was on a national television network known as Spike TV, and it averaged around 1 million viewers every week. They had a fresh group of young talent. I'm talking about the AJ Styles, the Samoa Joes, the Christopher Daniels of the worlds, mixed in with a bunch of veterans. Sting, Kurt Angle, Kevin Nash, you name it. They had the identity, but they didn't have the creative brains. Vince Russo, which ultimately led to their downfall. Numerous name changes, numerous presidents, and above all else, a lack of vision. But in the end, they managed to bounce back from all of that negativity in the turn of the new decade with Scott D'Amore at the helm, which led to the rebirth of TNA wrestling. Since then, TNA has found itself to have a lot of momentum throughout 2024, and that momentum is continuing on into 2025. Their rise in attendance is also showing as well, with their most recent show, Genesis, almost having a full sellout. Not to mention the recent announcement of the WWE/TNA partnership. All of this is amazing for TNA, but it has a lot of delusional fans on social media thinking that TNA will overtake AEW as the #2 promotion in the United States, and that is far from the truth. I'm yours truly, Flamin' Ricky DeRays, and this is my reason as to why TNA Wrestling will not overtake AEW anytime soon. Before we get into all this craziness, please make sure to like and subscribe to the Wrestle Havoc channel right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, if you guys haven't checked out my last video, of course, please check out my latest video in which I talk about the real reason as to why AEW is experiencing a decline in popularity. TNA has had a lot riding for itself throughout 2024, with the change back to their original name of Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. But I will say, 2024 didn't start off so great for TNA, with the release of Scott D'Amore from TNA. Many fans like me were very hesitant of TNA's future, considering the fact that Scott D'Amore was one of the reasons as to why TNA fell back to the good graces of the fans. But as the year went on, TNA showed no signs of slowing down. If anything, TNA became stronger. Their Slammiversary pay-per-view drew the highest attended TNA event in over 10 years, and that in and of itself is an accomplishment. Even though TNA is running smaller venues, the demand for these shows are clearly there. They have been experiencing back-to-back near sellouts, and think about this, they've been selling more tickets quicker than your average AEW weekly televised show. If anything, TNA has way more momentum than AEW at the moment. Not to mention the official announcement that WWE will be officially partnering with TNA. Now, if you look at that press release that WWE put out, it is absolutely surreal. Imagine traveling back in time to the year of 2006, and you would tell a fan of TNA during that time that WWE and TNA will be partnering together in almost 20 years. They would laugh in my face. Shout out to RVD Tito for life, by the way. We live in a crazy time, ladies and gents. This is nothing but great news for TNA, because it's exposing TNA to a lot of fans that either A, haven't watched TNA, or B, haven't watched TNA in a while. With this partnership, we are bound to see a lot of crossovers, with TNA talent showing up at NXT shows and NXT talents showing up at TNA shows. Joe Hendry made so many appearances throughout 2024 last year. All people were talking about in 2024 was Joe Hendry. Jordan Grace, the at the time TNA Knockouts champion, made an appearance at last year's Royal Rumble, and she faced off against Trinity, who of course she beat to win the Knockouts title. Now imagine Joe Hendry, the current TNA World Heavyweight Champion, showing up at this year's Royal Rumble. A Royal Rumble, by the way, that is absolutely stacked. I'm talking about guys like John Cena, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and you got Joe Hendry, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, in that freaking match. Holy shit. And realistically, since now Joe Hendry is finally the world champion, it is bound to happen. Imagine a guy like Santana, who is 100% destined to be a main eventer in 2025. Imagine him showing up on NXT TV. That'd be crazy. Or, and this is just me speculating, imagine if a guy like AJ Styles showed up at Slammiversary this year at the UBS Arena. TNA needs to sell those tickets at the UBS Arena. AJ Styles is the man to sell those tickets. I'm just saying. I actually hope that could happen, but you never know. Again, the possibilities are endless. Now, this is not going to end up like fans think with WWE quote unquote buying TNA, because legally WWE cannot buy out other promotions with the whole antitrust lawsuit with MLW. We all know WWE does not play well with others, but ever since the new ownership has taken over WWE, WWE and Vince McMahon stepping down, WWE has opened their doors to the masses. But with the official announcement of this partnership, fans are spelling doom and gloom for AEW, which sounds very ludicrous if you ask me. Look, we all know AEW is just not in a good place right now. Don't believe me? Watch my last video. Some of the comments were hilarious, by the way. AEW just does not have anything going that the viewer is emotionally invested in. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to Tony Khan and his poor decision making. But don't get it twisted. Even though AEW is doing poorly from a creative standpoint, they are doing phenomenal financially. This is a company that recently signed a multi-million-dollar extension with Warner Brothers Discovery. The deal was reported to be at $185 million per year. Not bad for a number 2 organization. Now, why am I mentioning this? Because we live in an age where content rules not only the wrestling business, but the world. Wrestling nowadays, whether you want to admit it or not, is a content-driven business. The live events are very important even to this day. The majority of the capital that these companies are making are based off of their television contracts. How much do you think that Netflix deal with WWE is worth? It's worth over $5 billion. And that is just the Netflix deal alone. You also need to take into account WWE's other television deals with, of course, the CW that airs NXT and, of course, NBC Universal, which airs SmackDown, not to mention the Peacock deal, which has the majority of their tape library here in the United States. TNA in the United States at the moment is airing on Access TV, a network that TNA's parent company, Anthem Sports and Entertainment, purchased just to put that show on the air. TNA cannot be considered a number 2 organization if they're on a network that nobody has. If you really think about it, hindsight is 2020. Anthem needs to shop their show around to multiple different networks. Now is the perfect time to do so. If they don't, TNA will go nowhere, and they will stay in their little bubble. Also, when it comes to other forms of media, let's talk pay-per-view buys. Because if you compare AEW's pay-per-view buy rates to TNA's buy rates, it's like night and day. AEW still averages a little over 100,000 buys per pay-per-view, even though they are going through a down period. TNA has grown their pay-per-view audience, but only a little bit. The highest being Slammiversary 2024, which drew an estimated 21,000 buys. Not bad for TNA. Now think about this. According to the Wrestling Observer, which again, take Dave Meltzer with a grain of salt, AEW's recent pay-per-view World's End achieved the highest pay-per-view buy rate for AEW since All In of that same year. To take it into consideration, All In 2024 drew roughly around 170,000 pay-per-view buys. Now think about this. TNA, even at their peak, never reached the 100,000 mark in terms of pay-per-view buys. Their highest pay-per-view buy rate was Genesis 2006, and that was the show headlined by the first Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe match. That show drew roughly around 60,000 buys. Also, if you want to take this into consideration, AEW's first show back in 2019, Double or Nothing, drew more than TNA's highest pay-per-view buy rate in their 20-plus year history. The point that I am trying to get across is that even though TNA has grown exponentially, TNA just does not have the amount of resources that AEW has. If you really want to take things into perspective, AEW basically has an unlimited budget. They spend big money on big free agents, just like the WWE. And people may say AEW is quote unquote not competition to WWE, but realistically, it is a competition when you're trying to sign free agents. And TNA really hasn't signed big free agents. Yeah, when Will Ospreay was set to be a free agent, he did wrestle for Impact for a short amount of time, but they didn't sign him. Do you think TNA signed CM Punk? No. That is why they are where they are right now. TNA just doesn't have the funds like a WWE or an AEW, and that's a fact. And that is not me throwing shade at TNA. Just because I say something that is truthful doesn't mean I hate something. I don't know why some fans think the way that they do. If anything, I am happy that TNA is experiencing the success that they are experiencing. And yes, they do have more momentum than AEW, but that does not mean that they are the number 2 promotion in the United States. That's pure baloney if you really think about it. Fans that say that live in their own wrestling bubble. Their fandom is getting in the way of actual facts, and it's kind of scary. TNA will only be competitive if they have national television distribution, as well as the amount of money to sign big free agents. Once that happens, then we can talk. As of right now, that is not the case. They may have the best product in the world right now, but if they don't have those 2 things, they will never grow. Once that happens, they can generate more interest for a lot of fans. But as of right now, they're doing great, and the WWE partnership is benefiting TNA a lot. As of right now, TNA is a distant number 3 promotion behind WWE and AEW. No matter what you think about AEW now, you cannot deny that AEW has given a platform to a lot of men and women to showcase their talents on a national level. TNA has the talent, the vision, and the creative at the moment. And now it's time to gamble on their investment and grow as a company. But that was my video on TNA. This is definitely going to be a controversial video. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications. That means look out for more videos right here on the Wrestle Havoc channel, right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the friggin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is yours truly, Flamin' Rick, Ricky DeRays, signing out. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace.